So, good evening, everyone. I hope you
It's visible, ma'am. PPT is visible.
are audible. Okay. So, let's not punish the ones who are on time for the ones who are not on time. And let's start. We waited for a few minutes. Let's now start. So, before I talk about our topic today, I wanted to kind of make an announcement that this is going to be, I'm sure, maybe Sir has already said this, but this is going to be a series, which means that I will be, depending on the response, I intend to make it a 5 day series where from Monday to Friday we'll be talking about teaching writing. So let's see how it goes. What kind of I get, I will be very happy to receive good response. Let's see how it goes. And those who are already here, if you do find it interesting, please do share with your other colleagues as well. So we are going to teach. We are going to talk about how to teach writing skills. Today we are specifically talking about expository writing, but generally we'll talk about different kinds of writing. So, first, ground rules we all know: use the chat for questions, stay muted unless speaking. So, I know that I would encourage you to, whenever I'm asking a question, answering, I would encourage orally. But when it comes to questions, I would encourage you to use the chat because I might forget something that you say. Whereas if it's in the chat, I can go back and check it out. And then we won't miss out anything. That's an important part of it. Now, coming to the series agenda, today we'll do a little bit of an introduction of how there are different kinds of writing and how we kind of deal with it. We'll do expository writing because, in my head, it's probably the easiest one to tackle because you have clear points. Okay, these are the things that you have to do. And then you can see all the others: descriptive, narrative, persuasive, and creative. We'll do on the other 4 days. Um, Now, before we start, since we are very few of us, let's all do this where you share your journey of um, teaching writing specifically using 3 emojis. So I'll put my emojis first and we'll discuss once you share yours. Is that fine? Hopefully, the number of participants does not reflect on the number, like the quality of participation. Let's see a few emojis there. We still have enough people to share their emojis. Sakshi ma'am, Roja ma'am, um, Rupinder ma'am, Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Jayashri ma'am. Let's see some of your experiences with uh, dealing with teaching writing. How is your experience? How would you describe it? All right. I will share my journey. Maybe it will inspire you a little bit. So, for me, I feel that teaching writing, the first step for me is always first writing, well, like reading myself, then writing myself. And then through that experience, I have always felt like that is the best way I have found to be able to teach others. So, like, there's a lot of thinking involved. So, first, I read. Like, I've always been a good reader since childhood. I probably imbibed a few of those things started writing well, which is why I'm in this profession, and then kind of introspecting on those things and then being able to write. Yes, would anybody else like to share? That is my journey. What is your journey? Anyone wanting to share? Okay, we will move on, I guess. But I want a little more participation, because otherwise it'll be just a one-way traffic. It'll not be fun anymore. I'm hoping to make this series a little bit fun. All right, let's see how it goes. Now, before we talk about expository writing, which is the main focus today, let's talk about mastering the foundation. So I kept saying expository writing and descriptive writing, persuasive writing. But then we never heard letter, story, report, diary entry, paragraph, essay. So some of you as English teachers might be wondering, wait, that's not the kinds of writing that we know. So here, let's distinguish between two things. One is types of writing, meaning that these are the different styles of writing the by purpose. So expository, we are trying to explain something. With narrative, we are trying to narrate a story step by step. With descriptive, we are trying to describe something in as much detail as possible. With persuasive, you're trying to kind of manipulate somebody else's idea into uh, almost like trying to manipulate somebody into agreeing with you, right? So that is the types of writing by purpose. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? Whereas when it comes to formats of writing, here, this is about how it is structured. It's not about the purpose or the content itself. So if you think about a letter, let me take an example of a letter. In a letter, what you would see is, one second. Yeah. So in a letter, what happens is that suppose I'm writing a letter to somebody, like to a municipal corporation, saying that people are not taking our dustbin away, like the garbage away every day. Now, first I'm giving information, so I'm doing exposition. Then I'm persuading them that this is necessary. So I'll say stuff like, "Oh, this can create health hazards and things like that." Then I'm asking them for some kind of response, right? So there again, I'm doing persuasion. But if I was only focusing on maybe describing how disgusting that garbage area becomes, then I would be doing descriptive writing. So there is a lot of this kind of um, mixing of types of writing in each format. But probably the only correlation you could say is that narrative writing would be a story, right? So the reason I'm doing types of writing and not formats is that formats could change by year also. Sometimes the format changes, your syllabus wise format changes. Whereas when it comes to sorry, types of writing, if you understood the basics, this is the foundation. If you understood the foundation, you can apply it to any format of writing. That's the reason I wanted to do this first. So now talking about expository writing, which is what we are going to deal with today. Expository writing is nothing but writing that informs, defines, or explains. So when we are writing an essay, for example, that would typically be expository writing. Now let's talk about the key elements. The first one is there has to be a clear thesis statement. You might not call it a thesis statement. You would probably call it just what is the topic, right? So the topic is usually given to you. Thesis statement is something you frame out of it. So suppose the topic is write an essay on global warming. So your topic might be that global warming is still preventable if we make an effort. That is your thesis statement. So what is your perspective in this entire issue. Then it has to have an objective tone. See, even if it's a topic that is a relatively you know little bit of an opinionated topic, still there has to be an objective tone to it, because this is not persuasive writing. You are trying to be as objective as possible, not take any side. So if there is a topic which has contentious sides to it, you try and make it as logical as possible. Like now logic not only forms in the context or the content, which is the objective tone, but also logic in the organization. You cannot talk about the most important point at the end. You have to go in a logical format. And then there has to be supporting evidence. You are saying something, but you can't just say it because I felt like it. You have to justify what you're saying, and that is what supporting evidence will do. um, Research will be a great um, tool in this context, and we'll talk about that a little more in detail in the coming slides. So coming to the strategies, what do we do to achieve all of this? Let's talk about that. There are two things that we need to keep in mind. One is the planning stage, and the other is the writing stage. When it comes to the planning stage, what happens is we will have mind maps, we will have graphic organizers, we will have essay outlines, right? So when it comes to these things, what I suggest is, okay, who can tell me the difference between a mind map and a graphic organizer? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say graphic organizer? Because I'm going to show you a picture later if you're not sure. All right. Let's, okay, graphic organizer, Sakshi ma'am, yes. Yes, graphic organizer is image based. Mind map could be image based, but usually the moment we say mind map, a very specific picture comes into our mind, right? Thank you, Sakshi ma'am. Where the topic is in the middle, and then you put those lines, and then you talk about the different things that are related to it. Correct? That's a mind map. A graphic organizer would typically have some kind of a picture attached to it. You can actually, let me just show you the graphic organizers. So suppose you're talking about something in a chronological order. So this could be the way in which you organize your ideas. If it's a sequence, then step by step, like you see in those user manuals. Suppose you brought a new fridge, how to use it, there'll be a user manual. Most of us throw it away, but this is how it is written. Let's understand that. Now coming to cause and effect, various causes and one effect, or vice versa. Sometimes whereas if one cause could have many different effects as well. So can you see how it is all organized in an image based manner? For visual learners, this really helps organize their thoughts very well. It could be problem and solution, it could be compare and contrast. The topic does not matter. What matters is how you use these graphic organizers to organize your thoughts. Hopefully you all already know what mind maps are. Now coming to essay outlines. So when I say essay outline, what I mean is there are two things. One is outline of a paragraph, and second is outline of the entire essay that you're going to eventually write. Now, this again depends on what age of students you're teaching. Now, I'm sure that all of you know in the 10th grade, there is a descriptive paragraph writing, correct? Um, I'm sure a few of you at least are teaching older grades, and you would think, wait, why are we going back to paragraph? Because paragraph is child's play as compared to essay, right? It's about being able to go into detail. So we'll talk about how paragraphs can be designed as well. So let's look at that. So when you are teaching younger children, one way to focus on paragraphs would be the WH questions. Sometimes some people also throw in a how here. So let's look at this as an example. I'm not going to tell you what the topic is. I'm going to, can somebody read for me, or should I read? Can somebody volunteer here? Sakshi ma'am, would you like to do the honors?
Good evening, sure, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
May I please ask again? I'm supposed to read the who part?
Just all five of them.
Okay.
And all of you pay attention, because at the end, I will ask you to frame one or two sentences based on the entire information. Can we do that?
Okay. So, who, the school's student council, organized a fundraiser. What? It was a bake sale to raise money for new library books. Who? The event took place
Sorry,
last
that should
Friday.
be
It should be what,
when.
where, when. When the event took place last Friday during lunch break, where the big sale was held in the school cafeteria, why the fundraiser's aim was to buy more books for the library.
Okay. Now imagine you are a child, maybe third. Thank you, Sakshi ma'am. So imagine you're a child, third to fifth grade, probably you could think of. Now, if I had to put all of this in one or two sentences, can somebody do that? You can take your time, frame it, and then put it in the chat. Because you will see that there's a lot of repetition. It was a bake sale. So it's repeated in what, it's repeated in where. It was a fundraiser, repeated in who and why. Um, Again, for new books for the library, repeated in what and why. So there's a lot of repetition because we are kind of deliberately giving that information in bits, and we will ask our students to kind of put it all together in one chunk. And that is how children learn to write a logical flow of a paragraph, right, in the beginning. That's how it would probably happen. I'm sorry, there's nobody at my home. I need to open the door. But meanwhile, can you, Savita ma'am, can you please look at all the five questions that I have asked and the answers that are there and frame it into one paragraph, 2 to 3 sentences? No one? Okay, we have 10 participants, 2 of which is me. So 8 participants. Nobody can frame that into 2 to 3 sentences. Let's first become more participative ourselves, then maybe students will. Yes, Sakshi ma'am, thank you so much. The school student council organized a big sale to help the school library. That will probably be your first sentence. And I guess last Friday during lunch break in the school cafeteria, that can be included in the second sentence. And that is exactly how children learn, right? In the beginning, it's all confusing to them, like too much information. How do I frame it? Slowly and gradually, they learn. So, sorry. So this is your younger children, where you are giving them all the information, they just have to frame it. Now, a little older, when they get, we might give them something like this, where we give them a topic, but they frame all the five parts of a paragraph. So here we have already taught them what a paragraph looks like. So this is something called a sandwich or a hamburger paragraph structure, where there is the topic sentence, supporting sentences 1, 2, and 3, and usually the last one is more of a supporting sentence 4, or it could also be called a concluding sentence. So if I'll just read this example given here. Reading is one of the most beneficial habits a person can develop. Now, that is your introduction. Now, if you look at that and compare it to the conclusion, it says, therefore, that is our conclusion, last sentence. Therefore, reading not only enriches the mind, but also leads to personal well being. So, we have said it's a beneficial habit, and then we are explaining why it is beneficial. And then to match these two, we are putting three more sentences in between to justify, right? So, this is how the child will also be able to think that, okay, this was what we said, this is how we are saying it again, kind of proving it. So in between, we have to give the justification. So the three justifications are: firstly, it helps improve vocabulary by exposing readers to new words and phrases. Also, it enhances imagination by allowing readers to visualize what they read. Finally, reading reduces stress by providing a relaxing and engaging escape from reality. So if you look at these 3 points, it's telling you why it not only enriches the mind, but also general personal well-being. So you have justified that it's a beneficial habit for everyone. And of course, for older kids, where they can think about things in sense of, oh, this is explanation, this is evidence, we can have the peel method. I'm sure teachers who are teaching older kids already know about the peel method. And in case we are going over and above this, we are talking about the essay outline, where we can outline an entire essay and how to frame it. And again, these are things that I'm sure you've all seen. The reason we are doing this, like we are kind of dealing with this way, is because I want to make sure that you have already thought about it in various stages, not just as, oh, how will a 10th grader write an essay, or how will a 10th grader write an explanation of things. Now, coming to the writing stage, it is very important that all the children, no matter what age they are, they write in drafts. Not one, like not a single draft, but once they write, you give them feedback and then they write again. Nobody is a perfectionist. Nobody is perfect. It's not possible to get it right in the first go. The problem is when we expect that from children, what they think is, okay, I'm never going to get it right in the first go, so I might as well not try. That is not okay. And which is why we need to encourage them, even if the child has written excellently, encourage them to write another draft, so that the ones who are not doing well are getting that feedback that, okay, everybody is writing another draft. It's not just me. I'm not the dumb one. And the ones who are doing well, they can always improve on their draft, right? There's nothing wrong with that. After this, another thing in the writing stage that is very important is a self-assessment checklist. When I say checklist, what is important here is that it is something you make up for your children. So their age, their level, all of that matters here. Next is peer review. Now, a lot of you might be thinking as I'm speaking, wow, you're giving us a lot to do, but who has the time? Put in a little effort in the beginning, and then you can start doing peer review, where your first two drafts can be peer reviewed, self reviewed, and then only the final one comes to you. So you have a little less work. And children also learn to be critical. When they learn to be critical of their friends' work, they'll also learn to be critical of their own work, and they feel good about it. Oh, I was able to figure this out. And that's a great thing to teach them. It's a very important skill for them. Now, coming to common challenges and solutions, this is the challenges that I feel are important. I'm giving you a minute to go ahead and put down any challenges that you feel are also true, but I think I have shared most of it. If not, please go ahead and put any other challenges that you have faced when teaching expository writing, and then we'll discuss those as well. I'm giving you a minute to do that. We'll start discussing these and then we'll add on if needed. I see a message, the school student council. Okay. This was the okay. So the first challenge is language. When I talk about language, I'm talking about two things actually. One is children might not be familiar with English as their first language. By the way, this applies to any language that you're teaching. So even if you're teaching Hindi and Hindi is not their first language, same problem. Because it's not your first language, you can't really think organically in the language. So in the beginning, I'm talking about younger ages, you can provide a writing word bank. You know, typical words that are used in expository writing. You can provide transition words. Okay, I want to say and, but I don't want to say and over and over again. So I can say also, moreover, furthermore. So we learn these transition words and slowly it'll become a part of their vocabulary. You can also teach standard sentence starters, you know, how to introduce a new idea, how to introduce evidence, how to introduce explanation of what you're or what you've already said. So these kind of sentence starters you can use. And by the way, all of these are available freely online. Please use Google to your advantage. You don't have to sit and write these things. There are people who have done this work for you. Please use them. Also, a great resource that I find is a site called Teachers Pay Teachers. There are like paid worksheets and stuff available, but if you just click on the filter for the free worksheets, even they are like quite useful. Make sure you use them according to your needs, your level of the children, and all that. Coming to content. See, now here what happens is often children, especially younger ones, don't know what to put, what not to put in their information, right? So what we start by doing is we teach them the KWL charts. KWL is, this is what I know, this is what I want to know, and this is what I learned. So this can happen even in a science class or a social science class. So use subject integration. So suppose they're learning about global warming. Ask them to fill up the KWL charts about global warming, and then they write an essay about it. It is objective, it is information, it is explanation. It'll help them learn that, and it'll help them learn writing skills at the same time. Also teach them research skills, because many a times I have seen this happen where children, we ask them to write some like bring some information, do some research of your own. They copy paste from Wikipedia and don't even bother deleting those those numbers that are there for the bibliography. They don't even bother deleting that. So you need to teach them how to do good research, how to make sure that a particular research, like particular information that you found is authentic, how to cross reference. These things you need to teach them. And of course, at later ages where they don't need to research much because they probably have more information now because they are older, they know things, they're worldly wise, you can use mind maps for brainstorming. Now, coming to the structure issue. Now, many teachers would say that, yeah, they have all the information, but they don't know how to structure it. This is where all the paragraph templates that I shared come into play, right? Make sure you're using them wisely. Practice with samples. Don't just dump this information on them and expect them to do it on their own. In the beginning, practice with samples, do a few in class, uh, go through the whole process. So when I say support and scaffold, what I mean is don't just give them information and say, okay, now you do one. There is that funny meme that I had where I'd seen where it was like topic given for information, like for essay in class, my mother. Topic given for essay in exam, maternity leaves. So clearly not at the same level, right? So don't do that. Make sure that you are giving them support, not mollycoddling, but on the other hand, also not just leaving them in the lurch. Practice with them. First give them samples, then give them, incomplete work, make them fill it in, and slowly and gradually they will learn. Finally, coming to practice. Now, here is the part that most of us have an issue with. when do we practice? Because this kind of teaching needs time. It's not one time I gave you an essay, now you should know how to write an essay. Or one time I gave you to write maybe a manual and now you should know how to do it. It's not going to happen like that. But how you can make sure that you have enough practice with your children is to integrate it with your regular classwork. Now, this has become easier because nowadays even your textbooks have if you're teaching a lesson at the end, they do have regular practice with the classwork itself. And you can also do these fast writing sprints. So what I mean by that is when you have maybe the last 15 minutes left and your one topic is over, you don't want to start a new topic, just say, okay, I want you to write one paragraph, just one paragraph in 10 minutes. That's very reasonable. But I want you to make sure that there is evidence, there is explanation, there is a proper structure, there's an introduction sentence, there is a conclusion sentence, so that the children also learn how to kind of focus on one thing. So because there is that time crunch, they learn to do that better in a limited time period, and in the exam also it will help out. And finally, create peer review partnerships. Now here I would make this very, very clear. Do not create peer review partnerships where one child is way above the other in their ability. The reason I'm saying that is often teachers do this because they think, oh, A will help B. But what does A gain out of this partnership? Absolutely nothing. So make sure that it's around the same ability so that they can slowly grow with each other. Also, if A is highly like at a vocabulary level which the B doesn't even understand, then B will just feel depressed rather than learning anything out of it, and that's not what we want at all, right? So make sure that doesn't happen. I hope all of this has helped. Now, a few engaging activities. If, by the way, if any of you, because I haven't seen much participation today, so at least now we are nearing the end of the session. If you can share some engaging activities that you have done, I'd be very happy. Meanwhile, I will share the ones that I have done. I have done something, basically, I like to do this exercise as kind of a fun thing for children to do. So one thing I've done is something called Recipe for Success, where I deliberately give them topics which they find funny. When I first give out the topics, the children are like, seriously? Like, are you not joking about this? And I'm like, no, I'm seriously asking you to write a topic, like an essay on how to annoy your sibling or how to survive a school day. Um, and I'm very clear, I'm not going to be offended by anything you write. So go ahead and say, like, okay, this teacher I really don't like, I despise her, and this is how I survive her class. Absolutely okay. I'm not going to tell anyone. Even if it is me, I'm not going to be offended. The point is for the child to be able to write in a structured manner. When you give this kind of work, they're more excited to write. Correct? So it teaches the child sequence, how to write it in a sequenced manner, how to give clear instructions like in a recipe, how to give detail, these kind of things. Of course, you can also ask them to write a recipe itself, but I've given other examples because recipe is the first thing that will probably come to your mind. Second is a news reporter. Now, here, what I mean by this is there can be an interview where pairs kind of interview each other. One second. Pairs could be interviewing each other after an event, and then they write a news report based on it. So what I mean by this, you know how us English teachers have this habit, as soon as something happens, they're like, okay, write a report on this. Give that opportunity, take that opportunity to tell them that don't just do a report based on an interview. Now what will happen is you've gone for a picnic, you've made pairs, both will interview each other or one will interview the other as you wish according to your needs. Maybe one time one interviews the other, the next event maybe a annual day, the other person interviews. So they interview each other after an event. They have a news report based on the interview. So now both of their news reports cannot be the same because the questions would have been different, the answers would have been different. So it also teaches you data gathering. It teaches you organizing your ideas, because your answers are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but I have to structure it properly. I have to be objective in my writing, because if the interviewer, if the interviewee says that, oh, it was a terrible annual day just because he or she did not participate, then the interviewer has to be smart about how do you represent it honestly, but also objectively. Correct? Yeah, I would love to share what ma'am has said. Sakshi ma'am has said, I put up a cartoon strip on screen and asked students to speak their mind. It also makes them read newspapers and improve speaking, debating, and cognitive skills. Great. Yes, cartoon strips. By the way, art integration, generally speaking, a great option. Um, Again, here you could use this for narrative or descriptive writing as well. Just put a picture and then ask them to describe what is happening in that. We'll talk about that a little more in detail in tomorrow's session. Great idea, ma'am. Sakshi ma'am. Others can also please share. Okay, meanwhile, solution board. So now a lot of this is specifically useful for us as class teachers. Those who are class teachers know how half of your class goes in all the classroom problem solving. This person hit me, or that person is shouting very loudly. This person poked me with a pencil, especially younger children. So when it comes to that, what you can do is post a major problem per week on the board. Let the students post solutions. They can write on a post-it note and just stick it there. When it comes to middle schoolers, they could even compile it into a proper essay, and then maybe the best one, you can read it out, you can talk about it. So it'll become also not just your work as a English teacher, but also your work as a class teacher, where you are taking this during circle time and getting it solved. And at the same time, as an English teacher, you'll probably read and think about how objective these solutions are, how have they thought about it in a solution oriented manner, all those things. And finally, coming to fact fiction detective, what I mean by that is this would be more about research. So give students a mix of statements about a topic and give them some time to research it. Then they write explanatory paragraphs about their findings. So, they need to find out how much is true, how much is just random, hogwash that you've read somewhere. So make sure that they know the topic, but you also have done your research. Otherwise, how can you be sure that the information is correct? Yes, Soumya ma'am, I use NIE student editions pictures and ask students, I'm sorry, I lost the message. Ask students to describe what picture says or represents. Okay, that would come more under descriptive writing, which we will go into a lot of detail tomorrow. Soumya ma'am, please do attend tomorrow because I will actually talk about this particular topic tomorrow in a little more detail. Great point though. And now now that you have all become a little more participative, let's see if we get a little bit of sharing here. It's very simple. What I want you to do is, I want you to share at least one takeaway. And this, I want you to be oral about it. I don't want it in the chat because I want it to be a little more interactive. So once one person has shared, the next person has to connect your point to the previous person's point. So what all did we learn today? Basically, that's what we are trying to figure out. Anyone wants to go first?
Hello, may I?
Yes, yes. Yes, Punita ma'am.
Yes. We can coax children to express their ideas in beautiful English words.
Correct.
By giving them any topic.
So specific topics, prompts that will help with expository writing. Great. Anyone else who wants to connect their idea to this?
Good
Let's
evening,
see.
Sakshi.
Yes, sir.
Connecting to ma'am's topic, that when we are giving the children topics, we will also provide them with some hints so that lower learning people to high learning children, all of them can work accordingly
Yes, so
and
the
not
prompts
face
have to be such.
problems.
Correct. So the prompts have to be such that they cater to all learning levels of the children. Great point. And great way you connected it as well from the prompt. Anyone else?
I'll go next. Along with the prompts, even the scaffolding part that we are doing, we need to make sure that you give a lot of hints and clues to the students along with the structure. So structure should be clear in their mind so that they are organized in their thoughts and they put it in an organized way. So practice would be required for that.
Correct. So scaffolding in order to make sure that the learning is not just dumped on them. They are actually learning through the exercise. We're not doing it for the sake of doing. Okay, I did 5 essays in a year. It's not that, right? We need them to learn. That's the point. Great point. Anyone else? I'll just close that meanwhile. Yes, who else do we have here? Roja ma'am, anything to say?
Good evening, Jyoti. I'm busy in some other work, so I'm not able to answer you. But still, this was,
No.
uh, yeah. I mean, the you were talking something about scaffolding. So these exercises that the activities that you have put here show how we can help the children in writing. These help in writing. I mean, learn to write, how to write whatever the types of writing or the patterns of writing that you have just talked about, the letters and then all those. One topic, we can use just one topic in order to make them write different patterns.
Oh, that's a great idea. Actually, I
Yeah.
had not mentioned that, but yes, that is a great point that you can use the same prompt, but in
Yeah.
different ways in order
In
to make
different
something.
patterns, maybe a letter, maybe a message, maybe a notice, maybe likewise we can go on with that. So
So
the
expository
groups
writing,
can,
but in a notice and a letter and a
yeah.
manual or a
Huh.
recipe. That
Hmm.
great point. Great point. All right. Anyone else? Otherwise, I have one task for you before we go. We're almost done. We are actually done with the session. If anyone has any feedback, that would be great. But whether or not you have feedback, I do have something I want you all to do, which is actually two things. One, if you felt that this today's session was worth it, please make sure that you tell your other colleagues as well, or your friends who happen to be English teachers or language teachers generally, because I do intend to make it a proper webinar series, 5 days. So let's make it a little more interactive, more people, it'll be more fun. We'll also learn more from each other, right? Secondly, I am sending you yeah, I've sent you something which is a link to a survey. It's a poll, simple poll. It's about what is your biggest challenge when you are teaching writing. For me, for example, my biggest challenge used to be time. I was always short on time. I used to always wonder, how am I going to finish this? Till I started thinking of everything as an opportunity to teach writing. So whatever is your biggest challenge, I would want to know. This link will take you to another site. Just click the challenge that you find as your biggest challenge, and that's it. That's all I want you to do. because accordingly I can, adjust the rest of the classes, and the webinars will be more useful for you. Otherwise, it's just going to be me talking about what I feel is most difficult. I don't want to do that. So let's try and make it a little more relevant to you. I hope you will all take that poll. And if you have anything to add, if you have any feedback for me, I'd be very grateful. Otherwise, we can end the session with that. Thank you, Sakshi ma'am. All right. So before I end the session, I would want to just remind you all that for all of us, no matter what session it is, what webinar we are attending, I think you all know about this. So whenever you attend any webinar on SNTTC, all of these are free webinars, right? A lot of these are free webinars. So, but if you do want to gain not just the knowledge, but actually a certificate to tell that you have this knowledge now, please send 50 rupees to this number that I'm sharing on the chat in order to get any certificate. So what you will have to do is two things. First, send the money itself, 50 rupees. You can GPay to this number. Second, take a screenshot of that, the fact that you have sent the money. And along with that, please send your full name or any title. Some people are very particular about Miss, Mr., Mrs., any of that. Those things, mention that very clearly and send it to that number itself. So the screenshot and the money goes to the same number. And once you're done, so today it's like almost 8 o'clock now. In an hour, like in one day, 24 hours, you will get your certificate. Be a little patient if it's a little late, but otherwise, this is how it will go. If anyone has any feedback, yes, Soumya ma'am, informative and good insights on that. Thank you, Soumya ma'am. I hope to see you tomorrow as well. Same for all of you, and I hope to see a few newer faces as well tomorrow. So let's see, let's meet again tomorrow. Tomorrow we, as I already mentioned, we'll be discussing descriptive writing, probably my favorite topic to cover. So let's have a little more interactive session tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
By the way, Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year to all of you too. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm wishing you all Happy New Year as I'm ending the session. Thank you, Palita ma'am, for reminding me. Bye, ma'am.